Yay!
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello.
Welcome to ULPLM, Universal Light, Pure Love Ministries. I am
Yes,
Holistic Mystic Norma.
I'm Tammy, Spirit Intuitive Tammy, and our special guest tonight is Chris Palomino. Did I say that right, Chris?
Yes, you did. It's just the right
And
time.
Chris is a spiritual healer, energy worker. He specializes with crystals. So we're going to learn a lot tonight.
Yes.
And maybe towards the end, if he feels like even giving us some sort of blessing or short meditation, we'll do that. But I thank you, Chris, for coming on with us tonight.
Yes,
And
thank you, thank you.
You must have read
I'm
my
very interested in your story. So why don't you start by telling us how you got started working with crystals?
how I started
Yes.
when I was very, very little, maybe 9, 10 years old. That's when I was always that different person. My grandma, she didn't speak no English, so she knew was Spanish. I spent a lot of time with her, and she was actually full-blooded Hopi. I spent a lot of time with her, and I noticed like she would sit out there on the porch and she would just stare off into nature. So I would spend. She lived right across the street from the school, so I would go home from school and just go spend time with her. And it got to the point where I just started going in the porch with her and just sitting there and staring into nature. And I was able to
Wow.
help me how to connect with nature when I was about 10 years old. And this is she's the one that taught me a lot. And then like 4 years later, she taught me a lot just by showing me. It wasn't nothing about it wasn't. It was more of a frequency. It was more of a visual. About 4 years later, she passed away, and she started bringing me into the spirit world. She came to me as an eagle, and it just taught me. She brought me into the spirit world, and it just really opened my eyes. And I was at that time I had just been picked up by some Lakotas here in Garden City, Kansas, and I started doing ceremonies. I started doing the sweat lodge ceremonies. They started teaching me stuff. They gave me a bunch of books to read on shamanism, just about anything and everything you could think of. So by the time I was already 14, I was already tapping into the spirit world, bringing knowledge back from there. And I was also learning how to, use these crystals and all this energy to help others.
That's a beautiful.
So that was when you were a teenager. You started actually training as a shaman, not just a spiritual healer, but learning about shamanism.
Yes, that was actually one of the very first books that the guy gave me. He's like, here, it was a how-to book on shamanism, and it was chapter by chapter, and went through the chapters. A lot of it was just like intuitive work, a lot with candles. Before I even worked with feathers, or before I even worked with crystals, I worked with feathers. So they would give me feathers at the ceremonies, and I would sit there and meditate with them, and I would get all this knowledge and all this wisdom. I have notebooks full of knowledge from the spirit world, and it took me a long time to realize what was going on because I would go and I would just basically fly into this land, and I would fly over this forest, this river, and then I end up in this teepee, and there would be all these elders there, and we would send smoke, and then I would ask questions, but I wouldn't get the answers till I came back. So it was more of like I couldn't understand what they were saying because I think it was more of a frequency that they were speaking through. And when I would come back, my body would like be like, "You're writing this down, or else you're not waking back up, or you're not going back to bed that night."
Right. Right.
So I
That's
just
crazy. So you said you first started working with feathers. Did I hear that correctly?
yes, I
Wow.
have I say about 50 feathers from eagles out
Hmm.
to just about anything and everything. And I think that's the reason why my grandma came to me in the form of an eagle. And I've also had a few other animal totems that come to me and teach me. And I was
Mm-hmm.
actually research on that, and they're saying that the what is it? The legendary lightning bird, was it uh, the thunderbird?
Ah, yes, the
Is like
Thunderbird.
a shapeshifter and can basically come in any form. So I think that it's not the eagle. I think it's the thunderbird because he's come to me in different, different forms to teach me the knowledge that I need to know at that moment.
That's awesome. So you look kind of young now to me. You look very young. So how many years do you have under your belt?
Um, I'm 31 now, so I've got about 5-6 years publicly
Yeah.
feelings. But I've been, I was actually studying even back then, and I actually one of the very first healings, because I learned there was another guy that I tried to learn from about crystal grids, and he had a huge ego and he wouldn't teach me. So instead, I went to nature and I asked nature. This is what I was talking about earlier about the tree. I went to this tree down here at the park here in Garden City, Kansas, and I meditated. And I asked the trees, like, "Can you teach me how to make a crystal grid?" So I was sitting there with a bunch of crystals, and I remember making this grid, just playing around on the ground. And I sat there for about an hour and a half, just working with these crystals. And then, all this information, all this stuff just hit me. And I was like,
Right.
called up my best friend, and I was like, I want to try something with you. And I remember going over there to his house, and at that time, I wasn't able to project the energy. I was just able to, like, I would hold like 5-6 crystals and use the energy that way, just like hold them in one hand, project the energy with just the other hand. So that's what the tree taught me to do. And I remember holding like 5-6 crystals. And I go there and I touch him on his arm, and I just start projecting this energy for the very first time. And he was like, "What are you doing? My arm, my whole shoulder's numb." But
That's amazing. I think the first time I seen you is you were doing a live. You were doing some kind of ceremony. I think a healing a healing procedure with the crystals. Somebody was laying on a table,
yes,
and it was a beautiful setting with candles, and you had crystals everywhere. I felt the energy coming from that video when you were doing that, and yeah, we kind of connected, and I've just been watching you in the background, and how amazed I am at the energy that I feel when I am able to watch your videos. So when did you start hearing crystals and working with crystals?
I think it had to do a lot with working with the feathers first. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started working with crystals, I bought a selenite wand,
Yeah,
and I remember going home, and I went home and I meditated with it, and I remember this vividly because it just blew my mind. When I was sitting there meditating with it, and it was like I was awake, and the crystal started spinning in my hand. I was still meditating when it started spinning in my hand, and I'm like, what the heck, And then
yeah.
I lifted my hand up, and then I let it go and it started spinning above me, and this light came out of it, and it just flowed over me. And I remember actually that selenite wand, it actually has a little window on it where it looked like it cracked. But this was me during my meditation, and this energy just took over me. And that was my very first experience with an actual crystal that I bought. That a lot of times I just went down and collected crystals down at the local river,
Right.
and he told me was don't buy them.
Mhm.
But yeah, I ended up started buying them when I was a little bit older. And that was the very first one that I had bought. And there was another one. It was a rose quartz wand. It broke on me. I mean, I was pretty sad, but this one was cool too. I was meditating with it, and like everything just turned pink.
Wow.
And I just remember kind of get like I was in this meditation, and I remember doing this right here, just scraping my teeth with this rose quartz wand, and I just tasting this chalky rose. I'm like, really doing this? But then what was crazy, after I actually looked at the crystal, and my tooth mark was in the crystal.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. What would you say is your favorite crystal to work with?
I got so many.
I know, right?
Yeah. The ones, one of the things that I have learned to do over the, I know just last maybe 5, 6 months, probably even a little bit longer than that, was I learned that you don't even have to physically have the crystal. That
Right.
you can have a book, like, the Book of Stones or something, and you can see that picture, and you can run your hand over that crystal, and you can memorize that frequency. And this is what I do a lot. Like, I have over 500, 600 crystals that I use, but if there's something that that person needs that I don't
Mhm.
have, I'll just bring out Heaven and Earth magazine, and I'll find it, and I'll take that frequency, and then I'll use that in my healing.
Wow.
So you work completely intuitively by listening to your higher self and just figuring out as you go along what that person needs, and
Yes,
then bringing in whatever that person needs as far as crystals or what type. Do you do any other type of healing like Reiki or?
yes. I've actually recently just got my Reiki Masters. Yeah, the
Nice.
school master. I didn't get the teacher part. I still have an opportunity for that, but I just got the Reiki Master right now.
Yeah,
I've
well,
also
that's awesome.
I've also learned what I've done is I've basically I've kind of seen myself as I've always seen it as a seeker. I'm
Right.
always what I do is I've learned pranic healing. Pranic healing is where you get the energy and you scan the body. Basically, I've learned a bunch of different modalities and created my own way of using them. So a lot of the times when I'm doing a meditation, I've gotten to the point where I've been able to include all these different modalities into a meditation. So I can sit there and in my own way connect with them, scan their body, heal them, and
Right.
actually what I should say is connect with them and then have them heal themselves. And
Right.
I'm just that frequency.
Hmm.
Uh, as a shaman, that's what we are. We're that frequency. We go within and we have to figure out, okay, what's their frequency? What's this disease's frequency? And we have to raise their vibration and then change the disease by using,
Yeah.
I use
That's
this,
amazing.
go ahead.
What kind of things are you seeing people be healed from?
Um, I've had a couple, I've had a couple people with cancer. Recently, I just went and I had a friend. She had breast cancer, and after she had gotten her surgery, I went and I had given her healing a few months ago. And she actually, I think she has another surgery today. It completely left her breasts and it went down to her ovaries. And when I was in Colorado last week, I got the opportunity to work with her again. So I'm hoping, that it really helped her and to the point where, because she was saying that she has a 50-50 chance of living. So she was really, really scared. So I got the opportunity to kind of calm her down and, work with her.
See, that's good.
Is it,
Beautiful.
did this take more than one session? Or are you still working with her?
I've only done two. The first one, like I said, after she had her breast cancer, I went and I did a healing, and it completely disappeared. And like I said, it went down into her ovaries, and she's supposed to get surgery for that. She actually, I think today or tomorrow, she has surgery. So we'll find out what's going on there. There
Mm-hmm.
was one case. There's a place about 40 miles away. This lady had contacted me. She was like, I just got diagnosed. She found a lump on her breast, and she's like, I just got diagnosed. I'm going for a second opinion. Is there any way you can come over and give me a healing? Because I guess it was that weekend. I guess she went and got diagnosed Friday, and she was gonna go get another second opinion on Monday. So I went there, and at that time, I just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do a pranic healing, and I scanned her body, and right away she knew, like right there, like I was just scanning it, and I felt this enormous amount of energy right there on her breast, and I sat there for about 20 minutes and pulled all that energy out. She called me 2 days later at 9 o'clock in the morning saying, you know what, non-cancerous. It blew me away for months. I mean, I felt the energy, I felt it, but it's just amazing, that I did that to help somebody. I've helped
Right.
people that were bedridden, to walk again. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the journey of a healer. I mean, it's just amazing hearing the testimonies. I think that is the most important part is knowing that you help change somebody's life in a positive
Right.
way.
Yeah, I agree.
Norm, do you have any questions?
Well, I think he's answered all the real major questions, but I guess in answering those questions, I did build a new one. You said you've kind of learned from all the different modalities to kind of create your own.
Yeah.
I get that because I do that same thing. But out of curiosity, which modalities or which aspects have you looked at so far to incorporate into your uh, your own method?
It is really awesome. Um, at the end, I plan on doing a meditation with my singing bowl. But what is really awesome is I use a singing bowl, I use a drum, and a rain rattle, so sound therapy. And what was really awesome was all these were gifts, somewhat gifts, pretty much. My singing bowl, I actually got at my very, very first holistic fair that I did. The lady was actually down the way there, and she was like, "Oh, how much do you charge?" And I was like, $20. And she's like, "Well, I want to trade a singing bowl for a healing." So that was my gift to me, and
Awesome.
you know, it just and then it was just like as things went on, I just started. Spirit just kept telling me, "Do this, do this, do this." So it went from sound therapy, and then it went from like Reiki. I started messing around with Reiki, and then it went to like a guy introduced me to do pranic healing. So I started doing pranic healing, and he got kind of mad. He actually got kind of mad when I figured it out in about 2 months. So yeah. Well, he told me, he's like, if you could do what you say, practice pranic healing, you'll do a lot. And I did, and I figured it out, and I was able to use my intuition to, just scan the bodies and find that pain and pull it out. But
That's
like I said, I've learned to basically create my own way, and even just like project gratitude
right.
to help change people and just change them in a positive way, and do my own thing really.
Right.
I also use a technique called the dial. I don't know. Tammy's actually seen me use it a few times, and it's a
What is
meditation
it called again? I can hardly hear you. Can you speak up?
called the dial.
A dial?
Yes, and
Okay.
yes, the dial. And what I do is like I can have somebody focus on a certain crystal, and they could take that frequency and they could just imagine that frequency doubling and doubling and doubling, and it just projects that energy out there, and it allows me to do what I need to do to heal.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome.
like I
Yeah, it
mentioned,
is.
one of my favorites is gratitude. So, you take a time when you're very, very happy, very, very happy in life, and you just dial that up. And you just imagine
Right.
doubling, doubling. By the time you get to about 5 on the dial, you're just sitting there grinning. You're just like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And that is something that I do daily. I try to do a gratitude meditation every morning and just dial that energy up and project it throughout the day.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do our morning blessings now.
I feel like I feel you now. I mean, your energy is so high. It's so high and so peaceful and loving, and that I feel that coming from you in waves right now. Even just talking to you, I can feel it coming through. It feels good.
Yes, yes. Very peaceful energy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like
Brought
uh,
two of my
um
crystals here.
very peaceful. Very
My
peaceful. It's almost like you're just glowing. You're glowing, and I see that glow coming off of you that brings peace and harmony. It's like I almost feel like you are one that can walk into a room and adjust the frequency to bring harmony instantly.
Yes. um,
Yeah.
I wear a medicine bag because I got to that point where I walk in a room and I can see who's having a bad day, who's having a good day, and me being my healer self wants to go help them people that are struggling, and I have to start wearing a medicine bag with a bunch of crystals for grounding and protect myself,
Yeah.
because I want to go and heal and heal and heal. And I think it was a few months ago I actually learned a little bit about that. Basically, it was talking about we have three selves. We have the healer self, the wizard self, and the warrior self.
Yeah.
And basically, all three have to work together to create what we want. And like I said, the healer self, if you want to go out there and heal and heal and heal, and it's what's known as a bleeding heart, because you're never going to fulfill it. You're never going to
Right.
fulfill what you want, because all the energy is just going out there and you're healing everyone, but you're never satisfied. And that was a lesson that I had to learn, to work on myself, to heal myself first, and to use all three. The warrior to be who I am, and the healer to be what I do, and the wizard to create my future.
Right.
You know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now you're in Kansas. Is that where you're located?
Yes, I am like literally like in the middle of nowhere, Kansas.
In the middle of the country.
Yes, yes. And the part that I don't like is I got to go 300 miles each way to get to a crystal shop. You either got to go to
Oh,
Wichita,
wow.
Kansas. So I have to order everything, which
Hmm.
gets.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have to travel long ways to find a crystal shop. So I've gotten a lot off the internet, or if I'm traveling on vacation, I might get to pick some up. But I haven't had any problems with getting any off the internet. Um, it's been really good, to be honest with you. But I
Yeah,
would love to go to uh, a crystal cave.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there was one about 200 miles away from me. I'm like
Oh,
right on the Colorado Kansas border.
oh,
All the
wow.
interesting. side of Kansas.
I know there's a big one down in Arkansas, which is, I think along the Kansas-Missouri line, straight down into Arkansas somewhere. I'm going to check that one out the next time I come out around there. We'll have to try to hook up.
Yeah.
And me. Yeah. But I love the energy that I'm finding with crystals, and just being out in nature in general. It's so intense right now. Have you found that the energies are increasing? Are we feeling more? Are we becoming more sensitive? Or what do you think is going on right now?
I don't really, I meditate so much and I'm so connected to nature. Like I see people all the time, that are affected by these by the moon and everything. I've learned to just stay connected to nature, stay grounded. So these solar flares and what are they called? Uh, the things that are making everybody crazy. I can't remember their names, but I've learned, that by projecting that gratitude and releasing and letting go at the same time, that I kind of control my surroundings. And I've learned, that I don't watch very much TV or anything, so that allows me to just focus on what I need to do at that moment instead of, you know, I think I called it. I think a while back, little, chicken littles. 'Cause, the chicken little, the sky's always falling. So if you're focused on
Right.
it, and no matter what, the sky's going to be falling no matter what.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I know a lot of people are experiencing more intense energies. Or when you get an upload or a surge of energy from the crystals or whatever modality you're using, do you find that afterwards you have physical symptoms? Because I've been hearing people talking about energy coming in, and when it hits them, they're having physical symptoms in their body. And I was wondering what you thought about that.
Well, the other day I was meditating with this. Here's my camera. Aquamarine. Let me see it. But I put it on my throat, and I was laying down, and I put it on my throat, and instantly it just like stuck me down to my bed, and I just started meditating for I think I meditated for a couple hours, and it didn't allow me to move. But a few days ago, I had this awesome vision where I was sitting here with my nephew, and he pulled out this picture book, and he turned to this page, and it had a cake on it. And just like a lot of my other visions, I kind of lose focus. Next thing you know, he's sitting there eating this cake, and I'm like, "Where'd you get this?" I'm like, "What's going on?" And you know, I'm okay. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there looking at my vision. Sure enough, I just start looking at different angles. Sure enough, this cake shows up 5 feet. I see every angle. And sure enough, he's sitting there playing with it. Like, I don't know what doing this. So I know that a lot of the stuff that's going on now with me, basically, he's taught me a lot. Like when he first started using this walker, kind of taught me get that momentum going, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, get where you need to go. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool growing up and doing this as well.
So, how many crystals do you have right in front of you right now?
I'll say about 15 or so. I got them all.
I know, I'm the same way. I have a little, I don't know if you guys can see it, but my little table. And
I don't know if you guys can see my table.
do you do a lot of grid work, Chris?
I used to do a lot of grid work, and I would do distant healings with grids. I've been thinking about creating one and doing some distant work as well. I just haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm finding that there's kind of a pull for me to learn more about grid work. I've never done any grids except the one, my personal one right here. So I feel kind of led, though. I feel pulled by Gaia to do some grid work because in my area where I'm located, people are so closed off. Well, and I'm still considered to be in the Bible Belt. They are so closed off to any kind of energy healing or anything like that is the devil, you know. But I think that grid work helps with that, with softening the hearts of people in certain areas and opens up and plows up the hard ground and opens up sometimes portals.
Yeah.
But we don't want portals open where people don't know what they're doing and they're creating bad things. And that can happen too. But I'm feeling led to just learn about some of that and how to use the grid work, the light and the energy that comes from the crystals to bring that light in to the universe.
Well, basically, it's like I'm continuing learning every day. So, like, if you see a lot of my videos, I'll do one meditation or I'll do one healing a certain way, and like a week later, I'm doing something completely different.
Right.
And it's just something that I learned, and then I incorporate it into a meditation or a healing. And something that I learned recently in the last month and a half or so that I've had really, really good results with my healings is to do the crystals in grid or in like 2, 3 different sets. So like I'll have crystals all around the person,
There you go.
and like I'll place crystals intuitively where they need to be, and then I'll let that crystal do its work, and then I'll pull it off, and I'll scan their body, and wherever they're still needing that work, I'll place another crystal, and then I'll just keep going throughout their body, and then I'll let them sit there, and then I'll take them off and put them back on, others on, and then at the end, I usually put the Synergy 12 crystals or the 16 or some of the ancestral lights that I have, the really, really high vibration crystals. I'll put them at the end, and then I'll have them do a meditation at the end and just kind of tell them to just become a frequency, allow the energy to come within and just heal themselves.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, you mentioned high vibration crystals. What are the high vibration crystals?
Um, a lot of heaven and earth, they do something a little bit different than what most people do. What they do is they take this crystal known as azestrolite and they shine a laser through it. And what they do is they'll shine that laser into the crystals to amplify these crystals. So they're basically, they're amplified. Like this one right here, I have is called Hardonite, and it's from heaven and earth. But
Move it over a little bit. I can't see it.
oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called Hardonite, and it works with emotions. So learned, or actually, he talks about it. Robert Simmons talks about it, that there's actually a code where you could say this passcode, and basically the crystal completely opens up to you. Because there's this code is called it's basically you just sit there and you meditate, and it's just like, some people say Om, some people say this or that, but the passcode is called Azazel. And when you say this in a meditation, the crystal knows it's you, and it allows it to just open up to you and connect with you personally.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Do you find that certain crystals bring forth certain healings to certain parts of the body?
Um, it's just one of those instances where, a lot of people say go by the chakras, the colors, but I've learned that that's not necessarily how it usually goes. Like, there's been times where, someone's third eye has been like really crazy, so I'll put labradorite on the third eye, to try to balance it out, or I'll put rose quartz on their stomach if they're having a stomach ache. It just depends on basically what my intuition wants me to put there.
That's good. So do you have a certain technique to like cleanse your crystals after healings, or how do you go about doing that?
I use like 8 different herbs. I use the sacred four, which is sage, cedar, tobacco, and what's the other one? Sage, cedar, tobacco, and can't remember the other one. But I also use copal, red sandalwood. Um, I have some with pinon. I don't know, pinon resin. It's basically pine nut resin, pretty much. I use that as well. It just depends. Like, I have a big smudge bowl, and
Nice.
I just mix everything together, and that's what I use to protect myself and to cleanse my crystals.
Nice.
Paula has a question in the chat room. Paula said, are crystals necessary? I have some, but as of lately, I have been teaching my children mostly on how to align the body's vibration to health. Do you think, let me just add to that, she says, are crystals necessary? If she's teaching something like that, how the body vibration aligns to health, how do you see that crystals can fit into that?
Well, it's just like everything, just like tarot cards, they are a crutch.
Right.
Chris, you're cutting out a little bit. Can you move up towards your mic?
Yeah, let me see. And we don't, they're like a crutch. We really don't need them. They're just kind of there to help us along the way. And I know it's a lot of other people. We see they're teachers, they're mentors. They're there to teach us. They're there to show us what we need to do. But in all, everything that we need, everything that we do need, we already know.
Right.
So that's one of the things I've learned to memorize all the frequencies of my crystals, so they're not really necessary for me to have with me. Like, I could just think of a crystal and then project it, just by memorize that frequency. And I think that's what she's kind of getting at is, you don't have to physically have the crystal to receive that healing.
Right.
How do you go about memorizing the frequency?
Meditate, lots and lots of meditation. What I do is, like, I will take a crystal like this vortexite here, and I will meditate with it, and then I will just project that and raise that vibration, and then I will.
Okay, so basically in your meditation, you're feeling it. You're feeling it energy, and that's being encoded in your cells, in your memory. And then So if you're out somewhere and you need that crystal and you don't happen to have it, you're able to tune into that frequency as if you do have it and project that out.
Yes.
That's awesome. I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The last few days, I've actually not even been wearing my medicine bag because I like to challenge myself. Like if there's a certain thing, just like this, I want to challenge myself to see if I can step away from that crutch and go out there and do what I need to do without those crystals. And that's something that I've been trying to do is just kind of challenge myself to move forward.
Well, I think that's a great way to move forward. And yeah, that's a message that needs to be heard because I wasn't aware that we could carry the frequency of the crystal in such a way without having it. And to me, that's revelation to me. That's wow, that's taking it to the next level because you can project that that frequency out into the world. So if you're working with something that's high vibrational and you've memorized that and you walk into a room where you feel like everybody is just down and out, you're able to shift the feeling of that room by sending out that frequency of that high vibrational crystal that you've been meditating with. That is amazing to me. I think that can have a big imprint on the children and teaching them, how to align their body with the vibration of health, but how the crystals can also magnify that.
Yep.
Yeah. And when I figured out that I could do this, you can imagine, I'm like, man, I could play any on. It was just like, what am I gonna, what's next?
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's like every day we're learning more. We'll just step into trusting what we hear when we're meditating and trusting how we feel when we're meditating. And I was outside today planting some trees and the energy was off the chart. I could just feel it coming in waves and actually had a talk with some trees. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. They are pretty awesome.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of lessons that I have learned from the trees. Like, the trees, wind, clouds, everything, everything. There's a lesson. Just not many people are listening to that. Like I've learned that, that we have to learn to, we have to learn to be flexible. We got to blow with the wind or else we'll topple over.
yep.
With the trees. The trees also taught me that, no matter what, I came back, I don't know if you remember when that big snowstorm came out of nowhere and it hit Kansas really good. It was an ice storm. But I actually got stuck in Colorado. It was last year around this time. And I came back and there was trees everywhere. I mean, tree limbs everywhere. A lot of trees suffered. And I
Yeah.
go to the park about a week later because they had it closed off. There was trees cut in half and everything. And I was doing this exercise to connect with nature. And I was sitting there connecting. And the trees, they just come told me, like, no matter what, don't give up, don't give up. It doesn't matter if half of your limbs are gone, whatever. If you're bent all the way down, no matter what, don't give up. And I was telling my mentor about this, what the trees were telling me, and he was like, "No, you're doing this wrong," because he was trying to teach me to connect with everything. But he's like, "You're even more advanced than what That's an advanced lesson. We'll learn that later." But he was kind of blown away that that I was able to connect with them trees and listen to that message.
Yep, that's awesome. I love it. I love it how it's all coming together. We have about 5 minutes left. Um, I don't know if you want to maybe can you do a blessing over us
Yes,
or just something short and sweet?
yes. What I want to do is a gratitude meditation.
Okay.
So what I want everyone to do, actually, before I even begin, I want to tell you about this lesson that I recently had just learned. Because about a month ago, I decided to become a full-time healer. And I remember going in my meditation, I remember asking the universe, I want to be a full-time healer. And that next day, boom, I get called to the office where I'm working. It's like, hey, basically they have me working days and nights. I couldn't get a regular schedule. So I told them I want the part-time job. So instantly the next day, the universe said, here you go. Now you can go be that full-time healer. And then a couple of days go by, and I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? And I just freaking out. And I started thinking about it. It's like, I went to the universe and I asked to be a full time healer. I did not mention nothing about money. So that was the universe prank on me. So my mentor was like, how can I get beyond this? What can I do? And he told me, get out of your mind and into your heart. And instantly, as soon as I got in there, I meditated. I just started focusing on my heart center. All the stress, all the drama, all the BS. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm right here in my heart center, and I'm nice and relaxed. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a gratitude meditation.
Okay.
So what I want everyone to do is I want everyone to go back in their past. I want everyone to imagine a time when they were very, very happy. And what we're going to do is we are going to take that feeling, that gratitude, that happiness, and we're going to place this on a dial. So we're going to make that feeling, which you're feeling right now, a 0. So I want everyone to imagine this gratitude doubling to a 1. Can you feel the difference between the 0 and a 1 there? Now I want you to imagine it doubling again. Again, imagine it doubling to a 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. It's almost hard not to grin, right?
Mhm.
'Amazing.
8. So allow this gratitude, this love energy to just fill your body. 9. 10. It's such a euphoric feeling, right?
Yes, thank you so much. My heart chakra just exploded. Mm, 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 mm. Amazing. So I will post your Facebook page in the links so that if anybody wants to get in touch with you or contact you for wonderful healing sessions, they will know how. And we will definitely have to have you on again and learn more about crystals.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thanks for being on. And you guys like our page, Universal Light Pure Love Ministries. And we will be back on later tonight for another show. And we will see you then. Dean and Norma, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nope, other than thank you all. We appreciate you all. And I hope to see you all for the next one.
Good night. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, bye-bye. That was amazing.